Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is MTD&D's Chult of Personality. This is episode 16, tentatively titled Out of the Frying Pan and Into the Line of Fire. Because I just made that up just now, because there's no title yet. We're going to wait and see what happens in this episode, and then title it afterwards. Kind of like the episode 14 was retroactively titled Row, Row, Row Your Boat. So, does anybody want to give us a recap of that last tomb reading session?
I volunteer, Mike.
It's worth a point of inspiration, Vale.
Let me see something here. Yep, I could use it because I keep forgetting I had to use a lot of my points of inspiration because I almost died. So, what we should have done versus what happened. What we should have done at the very beginning was our illustrious DM had given us the story of the legend of the man and crocodile. And we listened to that story, and it promptly went in through one ear and out the other. The the session started with us exploring my compatriots exploring the camp, and I was with Salida watching the boat. Now, of course, seeing the entrance to some sort of a temple tickled Cole in a way that she enjoys being tickled, and decided to run straight up to it, not thinking much for any traps or any other things that might kill her. Now, of course, waiting to have us all come around and calling out to us to make sure that we were all in some sort of a defensive line so we could check for traps and then slowly make our way is what we should have done. However, we decided that it would be a much better idea to go in half-cocked all willy-nilly and making the mistake of believing Cole when she said she had a plethora of expertise in dungeon delving. Soon it seems to us that it caused us a bit of concern. The inside of the temple was stepped every 7 feet, and we, Cole and I, Vale, went inside, and quickly on the first tier, there was a very interesting kind of a design, as it were, on there. Cole explained that we had to walk along this thing, which, let's put it out there right now, we probably should have listened to that story a bit more, but I'll get back to that later. We carefully, very carefully, thanks to some well-placed acrobatics rolls, managed to traverse this little trap, never kicked it off, thankfully. We jumped up onto the next one. What we didn't realize that this part of the temple was clearly for food production, as there were several blades meant for industrial cattle cutting. We didn't realize that, and of course, Cole was again, very excited, much to Vale's detriment, and decided to just go running through and kind of jumping all over, and generally pushing Vale into increasing amounts of danger. This, of course, understanding from a metagame aspect that we didn't realize how long it takes Locrius to come up with a brand new introduction once our characters die. So we should probably keep that in mind. Okay. Meanwhile, back down at base camp, the smart people, a la Brilinya and Ubo, were waiting at the front, not in danger, when they were beginning to hear some weird shit going on around the temple, called out to us, which of course, fell on deaf ears because, Cole just wanted to go further into the dungeon of everything trying to kill us, and Vale just wanted a goddamn sandwich. not important right now. So we got up to that stage. We almost got hacked into small pieces. Vale almost lost his rapier, which, interestingly enough, would have caused Cole to die because Vale would have stabbed her ass to death. But anyway, we managed to get up onto the second tier, in which case we found out a very new type of ancient deadly death trap known as Chult Connect 4, with some very interesting blinky lights. And of course, had we had listened again, the beginning, we would have had been on each other's shoulders, or someone would have been on mine, and we just would have walked straight on through without any hassle. But of course, that would just be silly. And we decided to do it the hard way because reasons. And we eventually, through fire and flame, thanks Dragon Force, we managed to get to the last tier, hopped on board, and at that point in time, Ubo and Brilinya had enough standing around and decided to hop into the temple because they had no idea what loud, crunching, grinding, dinosaur-like noise was coming around the corner, so they decided to book it in. Now, of course, by this point, we realized that, hey, why aren't we standing on each other's shoulders? See, the finally clicked in with that story, and yeah. So, needless to say, we got a jug. We got a jug. Through all that pain and suffering, we got a goddamn jug. And if it's a jug I'm thinking of, it's jug. Needless, anyway, so the whole place started collapsing. We booked it out of there like crazy. No thanks to some really interesting acrobatics rolls, almost dying in the process. And we ran out just in time to see a dinosaur that wanted to eat us. And Vale's first thoughts will be how to push Cole in the way so he can run Dee Dee out of there and perhaps save himself and the others while Cole is being ripped apart.
Excellent. And don't forget, you have a jug.
We have a jug. We have a jug.
So
not only do we have a jug, but we have a jug that's been poorly made because that dumb son of a bitch that made the jug didn't realize where to put the spout, so we decided to put them fucking everywhere.
There's bung holes everywhere on that
There's
jug.
Tons of bung holes. So many, all the bung holes.
So, for a point of inspiration, that's your recap from the last session, where they are now standing face to face with not only an Allosaurus, but two adult axe beaks. And Salida had just yelled, "Run!" So we are going to see what Vale, Cole, Brilinya, and Ubo are going to do faced with their first giant dinosaur. So we are going to, of course, start this session off with rolling for initiative.
Wasn't I the first one out, Jake? I could have sworn that.
Everybody kind of came out at once.
Oh.
Because there was that big cloud of dust from all the ceiling caving in that just went.
I got the Nate.
And when the dust emerged, there you were. Whoops. All right. Let's see. Got an 18 for Ubo. What's your dex bonus, Megan?
+4.
Okay.
Hey, I think if we all survive, I think we level up after this session.
Yes.
Providing we survive.
Yeah.
That part's important.
Yeah, this will be the next. We're using a modified milestone. So, let's see. And let's see how this Allosaurus does on initiative. Wow. That bodes well. So, Ubo is going to be up first, followed by Vale, Brilinya, Salida, Cole, the axe beaks and the Allosaurus, luckily for you, is going last. Ubo, you've got two man-sized birds coming in from your left. A very hungry-looking Allosaurus, which is a large dinosaur, looming on your right. What are you going to do?
How far away are each of them from us?
Within 20 feet of where you are on the steps.
Do I notice the axe beaks are looking at the Allosaurus and vice versa, or is everybody looking at us?
They're all looking at you.
Well, and how tall is this Allosaurus?
Probably, let's say probably about 15 feet.
Okay. Why the hell
You
not?
do have the advantage that you are up the stairs at the front of the shrine, the temple thing. So we'll say that you're 6 feet up above the surface.
Okay. Right now, I am going to use. You're going to see Ubo kind of look back at everybody, and just you'll notice him kind of flick his gauntlets, and the little club is going to kind of click down, but he's going to stay there for right now, and he is going to try to launch the Sun Soul kind of radiant bolt at this thing. I believe I can do it twice. Can I? I think I can do it. I think I can do that twice actually. But let me double check though. I know you can do it as a bonus action, but you can also do it as a regular. I just don't know if you can do it twice. Come on, Marquise, you got to know this.
If you spend the key point, you basically shoot another one.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, Jake. I'm basically going to shoot two of these bolts at it, and just see if I can hit it and just piss it off.
All right.
The Allosaurus. So I'm going to roll twice here. The first one is a 14, and the second one is a 15.
Those are both going to hit.
Okay. And it's total. We're gonna have 7 radiant energy, and I'm really just radiant damage. I'm just trying to get his attention, just kind of aiming for his head. Maybe just smacks him in the side of the head. The first time he kind of shakes his head, and he gets hit by another one. I would think by that time he would notice that I did it, and I would just kind of be standing there, just ready to fight, but just trying to get him to focus on me instead of everybody else.
What was the total damage?
7 radiant damage
from both attacks.
Correct. But yeah, total. One was a 3, one was a 4.
Gotcha. Yeah, you definitely have his attention. As these brilliant bolts of radiant energy shoot out from Ubo, Vale, it's your turn.
I'll look at. I'll kind of point my finger at Ubo and mutter something, and I'm going to cast Shield of Faith. You feel like you can almost feel like the grass kind of moving up, the tall grass kind of moving up against your legs, and you can just feel this kind of energy kind of moving up, and you feel your skin just begin to harden, toughen. You just feel stronger. So for the next 10 minutes, providing this battle lasts that long, you get +2 bonus to AC.
Nice, thank you.
So you just boosted Ubo with some holy shield?
Now my base is 20, Jake.
Awesome.
Bring it.
Love it. I love it. All right. Brilinya.
She is going to immediately try to hit one of the. Is there just one Allosaurus?
There's one Allosaurus on your right and 2 axe beaks on your left.
She's going to aim for one of the axe beaks and cast an Eldritch Blast on it. And that's a 23 to hit,
Yeah, that's a hit.
doing 15 damage to it.
What does this look like?
I can just imagine that these humongous things would have totally just caught her off guard as the dust and this cloud dissipates, and almost as a reaction, she would just put out her hand immediately. The scars on her arm just kind of moving about, and this white light energy would just flow from her hand out to this thing, at this thing.
And it staggers it when you hit it. It's basically like, you know that weird way that young chicks look before of any kind of bird before they fully get their feathers. Axe beaks kind of look like that. These ones do. They look like just baby birds that are giant sized, like man sized, with these wicked, well, axe beaks where they get their name, this wicked sharp, thick beak. And you stagger this thing backwards. Back on the dock, seeing that you all are not heeding her advice to run, Salida quickly sheathes her scimitars and draws her bow, taking a shot. You see her kind of looking back and forth, and she decides to take a shot at the axe beak that you just hit, Brilinya, trying to see if she can fell it. You hear a kind of whistling sound followed by the sound of shattering wood as she misses the axe beak and the arrow goes singing kind of through your group. Not hitting anybody, but shattering against the temple wall. And then you hear Salida just kind of curse her foul aim. Cole.
Cole has snapped up her black jacket, and as she did so, all the tools she had laid out are sucked back inside of it. However, as she throws it over her shoulders, she realizes that she's not standing well on her own 2 feet. The blood is trickling down from an unseen gash on her skull. She's kind of stepping here and stepping there. She's dizzy, her head is pounding, and when she touches it, the pain is like a flash of lightning that settles behind her eyes. She takes out the thunder cannon, and she's trying to aim it, but the flashes of light from Ubo and Brill and the singing of arrows and the casting of spells is disorienting her even more. And she's beginning to realize that she's probably concussed. But still, she takes the thunder cannon in both hands, and she aims at the Allosaurus, this massive shadow in the dirt and the dust, the gloomy cloud. And she has a 12. Does that hit?
What does it look like when you miss?
It's the loudness of the thunder just makes her head almost tear just down the middle in terms of pain. She closes her eyes, screwing her face shut, and the bullet goes flying off into the actual destroyed ruins, and you just hear the echoing thunder inside of it. And she almost falls to a knee because it just gets too loud for her head to process. And she stands right there for a moment, breathing harshly, trying to get herself stable again.
The axe beaks, the one that was hit by Brilinya, takes a hesitant step forward and stops. But the one that hasn't been struck does not hesitate as it rushes, leaping up onto the platform where you all are. And it is going to attack Ubo. as it just rears its head back and attempts to strike you with its thick beak. But it is unable to hit you, clattering instead to the like into the foot of this giant statue that you guys. It's kind of like right behind you, where the statue of the man and crocodile was. Chunk, in fact, the little toe of this statue, when this beak hits it, the little toe shatters on the 1 foot. Over on the right side, the Allosaurus. It actually backs up away from you, knocking over the ruins of the soldiers' tents that were at this once campsite. It looks like it might be retreating, and then it roars mightily into the air, scratches at the ground with 1 foot, and comes running, leaping into the air. And it is going to attack. I'll tell you who in a minute. As it comes charging down, I'm going to see if it hits with its claws. Wow. That is a 9. As it basically lands on the edge of this platform where you all are. Its claws just barely missing striking Cole. As it lands right in front, now towering over you. The only thing keeping it from falling backwards off this platform is its tail kind of balancing down against the ground. Ubo. It's back to you. You now have it. You have an axe beak immediately next to you, and the Allosaurus, for all intents and purposes, is towering over you.
Okay. How close to me is this Allosaurus's knee? 5-10 feet, something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. I'm going to again use these gauntlets, just basic attacks, but I'm going to use 1 key point to do a flurry of blows. So I'm basically going to try to do 3 attacks to this thing's knee.
Okay.
Just try to chop down the tree. 12, 14, 21, unnatural.
The first strike misses, but the second 2 land.
Okay. Hold on. That's 9. 9 and 7. So that's going to be a total of 17 damage. And just that first, as I get in, I imagine I just kind of stumble as I get in and miss with that first strike. But then as I'm right there and this just hulking beast is in front of me, it's really hard to miss the tree trunk sized leg. And just 1 and 2, just trying to get some type of reaction, just trying to get it to, fall down or something.
Would you still make that attack, knowing you'd draw an opportunity attack from the axe beak?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured as much.
I'm feeling feisty with all this grass covering me and all blessed and shit.
You have an AC of 20 right now, right?
Base, yes.
You basically just feel as you lash. It doesn't even phase you, and maybe that's why you miss that first hit. Is that it just slightly tossed you off, as the beak of this axe beak strikes your shell. Doesn't do any damage. Maybe it just shoves you a little bit and you miss that first hit, but then you strike solidly. Vale, you guys are in it now.
Yeah, we is. Gonna thwump some shit. All right, I'm gonna turn to the... The Allosaurus hasn't been hit yet, or has it?
The Allosaurus has been hit a couple times by Ubo.
I've done like 23 damage or so to him.
All right, I am going to go and I'm going to run up to it, maybe like take one bounding foot off its leg and then stab it right through the gut. Let's see how this works out. Okay. That would be a 19 to hit.
That will be a hit.
All right. As just a regular attack, no divine divinity. Wrong game. And that will be 8 points of piercing damage.
Your rapier pierces the thick hide with some difficulty, but you're satisfied to see that it drew blood.
Excellent. I think
Brilinya.
that's pretty much all I can do. Yeah.
The Allosaurus is now slobbering down and bleeding upon the four of you. There's an axe beak immediately to your side and one down on the ground. The one down on the ground is the one you hit before. The one next to you guys hasn't been hit at all. You technically aren't engaged with any of them, so you have freedom of movement as well.
Okay. I think that she would back up if she could, just to put a bit of distance between herself and the opening. Just a little bit, if she can.
So you're backing, like, back between the feet of the statue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think as she's kind of backing up, I think she would see Cole maybe breathing a bit hard and just not looking the greatest. And so you would see just this faint glimmer of light kind of pass through her arms, and kind of there's this quick succession on Cole's body of light that just passes down, and you heal 5 points. And then she's going to hit the axe beak that hasn't been hit yet with an Eldritch Blast.
All right.
I pre-rolled it. It's a unnatural 20
nice.
For 9 damage.
What's your base damage on your Eldritch Blast?
It is 1d10 plus 5 force damage.
Well, then you hit a modified 20?
No, unmodified.
So it was a nat 20.
No, sorry, modified. Yes,
okay.
yes.
I was going to say, because that should be a lot more.
No, yeah. Unnatural.
Okay. So 9 points on the one
Yes.
that hadn't yet taken any damage.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys probably don't even notice as Salida knocks another arrow and fires at the one that had previously been struck. This time she crits. I guess if I'm going to roll a 3 the first time, I'll roll a 20 the next time. So let's see, that would be 1d6 7. She does 8 points of piercing damage to that one. As you hear it kind of cry out as an arrow strikes into it. Cole.
The smart thing here would be for Nicole to simply disengage and run back to the boat. She knows this. However, as a flash of pain and dulling kind of spreads through her body, she turns around and she sees that Brill is basically fending off both of the axe beaks. So she wheels on her heels and she goes down to one leg and she's aiming at one of the axe beaks. And she says to Vale, "Watch my back," as she pulls the trigger and is making an attack on the axe beak closest to Brill.
All right.
All right, so that one's going to miss because I only have an 11.
Actually, that's going to hit.
Oh, it is? Oh, cool. All right, let me roll the damage real quick. Didn't even bother originally. 6. All right, that's not going to be a lot, though. That's going to be 6 points of damage total as the bullet goes whirling out and I guess like strikes it in the direct side of this axe beak, the echo of thunder just sprang across the ruined, desolate camp.
What was it? What was the damage?
6.
Yeah, this thing cries out as your bullet strikes it, blood spraying. And it turns immediately to you to attack in retaliation. And let's see, what is its bonus? Where is it? Oops, that's the wrong monster. I've got multiple iterations of D&D Beyond open.
That's the Tarask I was looking at.
Yes,
Not the
yes, that was the follow-up giant purple worm. Oops, did I say that out loud? Okay, that's a +4 to hit. Does a 15 hit you? I don't remember what your AC is.
As the axe beak's beak comes down, Cole quickly raises the thunder cannon and deflects it. I have an AC of 16.
Okay, excellent. That's the first axe beak. The other one is mustering up its courage, and I'm going to decide if it's going to go for you guys or if it's going to go for Salida. It's going after Salida. And it has enough speed to get to her. As it does so, ooh, it hits her. You hear Salida cry out as she takes 7 points of slashing damage from this thing as it just, faster than you could imagine, sprints over by the docks, leaps, and before it even hits, it's slashed at her with this beak. The Allosaurus is going to reach down to what is immediately by its feet and is going to attempt to bite this person. That is a +6, is a 21 to hit. Cole, beat your 16 AC.
I would imagine so, assuming my understanding of numbers is correct.
And that's a 2d10. That is 20 total points of piercing damage as the Allosaurus bites down. It picks up Cole in its jaws. Half of her body is hanging out of its jaws. It shakes its head and it throws her up against the side of the temple. Actually, I'm going to see which way it goes. So I'm going to see if she goes even to the yard, odd to the temple. As she's flung from its jaws, you hear the sickening thud as she slams into the side of the temple and then drops to the ground, taking another 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
When she hits the side of the temple, everyone who's there would hear this very weird sound, right? It sounds like a crack, as if grass, not grass, as if glass is like shattering. And then you just see from where Cole hit the temple, literally 400 pieces of gold start raining from where she hits. And then you start seeing the 7 healing potions come down, and then alchemist tools, and then thieves tools, and spell cases, and spell scrolls, all these different things. And when her body hits the ground, you see that the bag of holding that was her cloak has been torn to shreds, and everything inside of it, hundreds of pounds of gear and material, has been spreading across the front of the temple.
Marquise, roll a d6.
Gotcha.
And add 1 to that roll.
That's a 5.
6 of the 7 healing potions shatter when they hit the cement. Along with coal and all of this gear and gold coins that have rained down. We are back to the top of the order. Ubo, even now, as it comes to you, gold coins are falling.
So is Cole knocked out, Marquise?
She is down pretty heavily. We'll go with that for right now.
How far away is she from me, Jake?
Given that you ran up to engage the Allosaurus at its legs, she would have fallen immediately to your side within probably 5 feet of you.
I'm going to try to angle myself so that if anything tries to get to Cole, they have to get through me first. And I'm going to do that same thing that I did, just trying to pummel this Allosaurus. I imagine if he's swinging his head, maybe in one of those swings, I can get at him. So same thing. I'm going to use one key point to do flurry of blows again. So I'm going to try to do 3 attacks.
Okay.
14, 17, 2. So
the first 2 hit.
Okay. Give me a second here. That is a 9. So that's going to be 18 points of piercing damage. Sorry, of bludgeoning damage. Just same thing. Got those bone club gauntlets and just whacking as just pummeling him as much I can. Just trying to break something.
So, 18, you said?
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, so you hear, as you're kind of reaching up and just pummeling this thing, you're tearing the flesh where other wounds are. You hear a rib break as you strike it. And it's roaring, it's bloody saliva dripping down on all of you. The blood, probably some of its own, along with Cole's blood, dripping down like a warm rain on you, and it's still standing. Vale.
All right. I am going to again. Yeah, I'm gonna go out again and try and hit the Allosaurus.
All right.
Oh shit! Guess what?
It's a natural 1.
Did you crit?
Oh, I critted. And you know what?
Smite!
I'm going to do a divine smite.
Well, this Allosaurus is now dead. Why even roll for damage at this point? Because we're about to get like a 50 damage coming out. Huh?
I know, right? So let's see. So 24 plus 6. So maximum it would be 30 for the first part of it. But then I need to roll another 3d8. So 6 another 12. So 12 and 30, so it's 48 damage.
What does it look like when you divinely smite this Allosaur into oblivion?
So I, as I pull out my rapier, stab at, I see Cole go down and my face drops. And even though, she was a bit of a douche, like I still feel really bad, and I'm just nervous all to hell. So I just get so angry at this stupid walking unevolved chicken. And as I come forward, I leap up in the air, and as I kind of stab forward, I don't seemingly hit the dinosaur, but there's so much force and radiant energy just exploding outward. It just looks like I have just I had this massive laser just burn a hole straight through the Allosaurus, like this hole, like you can see the jungle behind this hole. And as the creature just kind of moves for a second on one side, moves again. And I don't know if you want to roll for me, but part of this nat 20, it would be really cool if it fell on one of the axe beaks. But I'll let you roll for that one. But I'm feeling pretty. That's pretty cheeky of me. But
you know what? Because you crit, I'm gonna say that there is a there's a 30% chance of it landing on a single axe beak. So you roll me a D100. Hold on, I'm gonna.
Keep in mind that I was under it too. So
well, I'm hoping it falls on the axe beak and not on you. That's
You
fair.
land in the hole, Ubo. The chest cavity.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
It falls over and you're in the.
All right, roll me a D100.
Actually, no. I'm gonna let you roll it. I have faith.
I did. I rolled the range. I want you to roll to see if Ubtao is with you.
What do I need to roll?
D100. I'm not
Right,
telling you what you need. It's a sliding scale, so.
No, that's fine. I rolled a 61.
So it does land on one of the axe beaks. As it teeters and it looks like it's going to actually collapse down right on top of Ubo and Cole's body. Its tail that's been hanging over the edge of this platform and kind of balancing it serves as a pivot point as its body starts to buckle. And it just kind of, Ubo, you see this thing, its heavy head coming towards you, its lifeless jaws descending towards you, and then it just sort of pivots away, still raining this warm blood and saliva across you. It pivots across, shattering the front steps of this shrine, collapsing on top of the axe beak on the ground. And yeah, that's enough. That one, axe beak, was already pretty bad after Salida shot it. And you hear just a pitiful squawk as it lands on the one axe beak. 2 of your 3 enemies are dead. 1 axe beak remains.
May I take a free action?
Oh, what is that?
I will tell Brilinya and Ubo to go help Salida while I help Cole. And of course, I mean, help myself to the money. No, I'm going to rush over. Obviously, on my next turn, I'm going to do that thing.
All right, well, Brilinya, what are you going to do?
I don't know that Brilinya would even hear Vale. She would just see Cole like kind of smash up against this wall, and just that's all she can focus on. But as she kind of steps forward, her foot kind of kicks this object, and she kind of looks down for a second, and she sees this book, leather bound with, and she realizes that there's one of her ribbons kind of bookmark in it. And she reaches down and she picks it up, and she would like quickly as she was running, just kind of, if she can't reach down and pick it up, then just kind of like kick it over to Cole. But she is just, her mind is on Cole and getting her up and away from the danger. And so she would begin to just kind of take her hands, and the scars on her arm kind of glow, and they kind of are moving around, and her hands begin to glow, and you can see that the ribbon in the book also begins to glow, and she just kind of puts her hands just hovering just inches above Cole's body, and just kind of begins to move them down. And I'm healing Cole with everything, all my heals, for 20 points.
All right. We're going to bounce over to Salida while you are administering this healing magic to Cole. As this Axebeak is at Salida, ravaging her. Nope, that's not what I meant to say.
Wait a second, dog.
That is not the word I wanted to use. It is ravenous towards her.
The PG-13 channel.
She did manage to withdraw her scimitars, and both of them hit. And I think she is going to finish it off. Yeah, those are 9, 10, 11. As Salida fells the Axebeak that was at her at the dock. Cole, Brilinya is administering, she's pouring all of her healing magic into you.
I imagine that when you first put your hands over Cole, Brill, and you start weaving this magic and everything, you're not taking full stock of what she looks like right now, right? And your hands glow, and the glow begins to subside, and you realize something, and you can tell me the reaction to this, of course, but you realize something that I imagine might make Brill sick to her stomach, is that when she sees Cole lying face down, and her eyes trail down her body, you realize that her lower half is turned the wrong way and facing straight up. And you realize then at that moment that there's nothing connecting Cole's lower and upper halves anymore. And when the light fades away and you see the flesh has not reconnected, you realize then that the flesh will not reconnect. Cole is dead.
So I imagine that she is just trying to do this healing. She starts at her head, okay, and that her head wound begins to heal. Then she goes down to her neck, all the wounds that going down, and then she just stops. And she just looks. And she begins to shake. And she begins to glow.
All right. You're just glowing as you're shaking.
Yep.
All right. Sorry, I was trying to reply to you guys in the chat, but it was set for private. So Ubo, what is your reaction as you're realizing the fight is over? Brilinya is doing her healing thing, and you turn and you see Brilinya glowing, and you see Salida, or you see Cole laying there, and then you realize that Cole is not being healed, and Cole is lying in a growing pool of her own blood.
Well, wow, I wasn't prepared for that. I think that Ubo wouldn't be far, and he probably wouldn't even notice Brill at first. But after a moment, seeing that these wounds are healing a little bit, and realizing that basically you're torn in half. You said is your top half face down?
Yeah, top half face down, lower half face up.
Without realizing it, just because Ubo would do this, he would grab your shoulders and try to flip you over. So your front is facing up, probably not realizing yet that you're in half. And then noticing that, he would probably look down wide-eyed and almost grab your shoulder and push it, try to push it back together, like he did something. And he would look at Brill, and he would look at you, and I think he would just kind of look at Vale and everybody, just what's going on, and just have no idea. And probably like put his big hands like over where you're split. Like, I guess that's your like midsection. He would put his hands there just on it. Like he's not doing anything, but he's like putting pressure on it, looking at Brill, looking around just in a frenzy, but just keep pushing on there. Just, really basically having no idea what to do, just knows, okay, put pressure on it, but very confused and very unsure about how to feel about this.
And I think from Brilinya, you would hear this, "Don't touch her." But it doesn't sound like her voice. It sounds her voice, but like much deeper as well. As like she begins to have these and she begins to form these like corporeal wings, and she just kind of takes Cole and just kind of begins to grab her top half just to pull her close, and she's just like trying again and again this healing magic, but nothing's happening.
Vale, you've just used your divinely granted powers that you're just barely beginning to grasp and understanding of to triumph over this threat. And out of the corner of your eye, you hear the commotion. You see the commotion. You can hear the commotion. You see the glowing of these sudden appearance of these wings. Brilinya is literally radiating energy and clutching at Cole. What is your reaction as you take in the full magnification or full magnitude of the scene?
I would probably fall to my knees, realizing what had happened. I'd be stumbling around, trying to like fumble for my holy symbol, and clutching it tightly, I would just very quietly say to myself, "Look, I'm not the best, follower of yours, and I'm not very devout or nothing, but listen, I'm not asking for much, but if you can do one thing, just one thing, you bring her back. Please, you bring her back. I'll do anything. I'll do anything you want. Build you a temple, build you a church, usher in your coming hell, roll out the fucking red carpet for you. Please, 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 please bring her back." I know for a fact that I don't have that ability yet.
Mike, how far would Vale be? Like, would he be right up on Cole and everybody? Or would he be far away?
Well, I would have just stopped the, after killing the Allosaurus, I probably would have turned like one or two steps, but other than that, it'd be however far away from everyone else.
Okay.
Mike, I need from Vale a wisdom. Wait, what's your spellcasting modifier? Charisma?
Charisma, yeah.
Let's make it a charisma saving throw.
And Vale dies. I kid. All right. That would be a 12.
As you pray this prayer to a God you've never really fully understood, you've only just relatively recently learned of, you feel this moment of just all of reality, just for a moment, just seems to kind of go and flex. And you see you're just drawn now that Ubo has flipped over the upper half of Cole. Brilinya is clinging to her, trying to revive her. Over Brilinya's shoulder, you can see the open, lifeless eyes of Cole. And for a moment, you're sucked into those eyes, into the blackness of the pupils. And you see an image of Cole, and she's standing there, and it looks as if this inky black hand reaches out of the nothing, reaches into her, and rips the light out of her, and draws it away into the distance. And as it just kind of, the world just goes, and flexes again, you're kind of sucked out just as quickly from this vision inside Cole's dead eyes. And to the south of you, up above the tree lines, you just see this momentary flare of light that seems to kind of go and disappear. From just a little ways off, you hear the sound of footsteps running over to you guys. You hear scimitars being sheathed, and you hear Solida's voice. I was certain that this time you would get me killed. I am lucky to have paired myself with such amazing adventurers. Cole, you're going to have to learn how to be a better shot with... Oh, by the gods. As she comes up on this scene and realizes what's happened, she stops 1 foot from the edge of, she was coming around the dead form of the Allosaurus, like she was going to step over its tail, and she just stops.
Is Brill still in that glowing form?
If it's been about a minute, she is. She's still trying to heal Cole. She's just not stopping, and you can just hear this sound of frustration in her voice.
Ubo, with that, as she's very close, Ubo's going to take his left hand and keep it on that wound, and he's going to take his other hand and kind of grab you, not do anything, but just put his hand on you. I don't know if that would have any effect at all, but just trying to say, I'm here too. He has no idea what to do here. He knows you're hurting. He knows this is bad. He's just trying to do those things that he's seen you guys do, has no idea. But he's putting kind of a hand on Cole and a hand on you. I don't know. He would just be trying something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point she's still just so focused, just so engrossed in this wound and trying, every fiber of her being is being put into this.
Jake, are those healing potions close that are on the ground?
There's only one. Yeah.
Can I grab it and just dump it on this wound?
At this point, I mean, you could. Cole's body is lying amongst the ruins of the other 6 healing potions.
Oh, okay, so he's already in it. Okay. She's
kind of in this pool of healing potion and blood. And you can even see that Brilinya's energies that would normally mend wounds together, you've seen it mend wounds together. You see that as it reaches the torn flesh of her body, that it just seems to kind of spark and dance there as if it's trying to do something that it can't do. You see the fluids of the broken healing potions swirling and almost sparking as it attempts to mix with the blood on the ground, and it just can't. It's almost like oil and water, where normally it would blend in and do its healing properties. It's just kind of and starts to just fizzle and fade over a few seconds. You hear a crack of thunder, and it begins to rain lightly. As Brilinya's attempt at healing energy, her glow begins to fade, and I imagine as that wears off, your wings would slowly dissipate. As Ubo and Vale look on helplessly, Salida, standing, her head down at the base of the stairs, as the rain begins to fall in earnest, the already beginning to wash away some of Cole's spilled blood.
And realizing that this is really it, Ubo would take his hand off the wound and he would slowly reach up to Cole's face and take his fingers and just close her eyes. And then he would grab a piece of the torn cloak and just pull it over her face and just stare at Brill.
And I think that Brilinya, her magic is spent. She is just exhausted. But she's still trying. She's still just putting her hands in, and you see just these like tiny little sparks. But like nothing happens. And she begins to not glow anymore and just kind of go back to her normal form, but she is just so exhausted with this. She would turn to Vale and just say, I don't have it anymore. Is there something you can do? I saw you before. Can you do something?
I walk over and I kneel down right beside Brilinya, and I put my hand on her shoulder. I'll do what I need to. And I know that it's not going to do anything, but I'll put my lay on hands on Cole, and I'll just like the glow just begins to kind of emanate out, spreads throughout my hand and throughout her. And I'll use 5 points. Just, yeah.
And you realize, as you're doing it, that it's purely ceremony at this point. That whatever was the energy that was Cole has left. Salida, I think perhaps it would be best if we take cover just inside the temple. You all need to rest. The meat here is good. And she indicates the Allosaurus. She says, I will get us provisions. I will start a fire. But you should all rest. And when the rain lets up, or perhaps even now, if you perhaps would like to bury your friend.
Yeah, Salida. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll help. I'll help Brilinya up, and nod to Ubo. We should go.
The yeah, go ahead.
Just inside. Quite tired myself.
You and Brilinya.
Oh fuck! No. Oh right. Never mind. Yeah. No. Get some rest. Great idea. No.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You should as well. You fought hard.
I don't mind the water. And
yeah, it's true. Being a turtle. I mean, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. You could have been like a desert turtle. I mean, I didn't want to go there without.
It's the. He stops kind of halfway, and you could see, even though, turtles, they're not exactly have like eyelids, but with the rain coming down and kind of covering them for a moment, you almost think, is that rain or are those tears? But he has a look on his face that you haven't seen before, and without saying a word, he goes over and just begins to start just at the base of this temple, where he can get to some dirt. He doesn't even start using tools. He just falls to his knees and starts getting handfuls of dirt, just in a very kind of slow, kind of methodical way. For as long as you would let him, he would keep digging. Not looking back, not even just remembering in his mind all the arguments and all the names that he was called, and how there were so many times that he wanted to kill Cole himself, but at the same time feeling incredibly sad that, it was just trying to do what he could do, knowing that there's nothing that he can do right now except dig a damn hole. And that's his prayer. That's his way. He's an axe guy. He doesn't think, he doesn't pray. He was never good at that, but he can do things, and digging holes is something he's done for a long time.
And while you're digging this hole, Salida, she goes to some of the destroyed area of the camp, and she goes to some of the tents that are not torn to shreds or too moldy and ruined, and she manages to salvage a few of the tarps from the tents. And she brings them over to just inside this temple and begins to fashion a sort of lean-to. She builds a fire inside, and it begins to warm in there. And then she sets to work on dressing a section from the haunch of the allosaur, cutting away its thick hide and getting to the meat inside. And before long, she is preparing roasted allosaur meat over the fire. So during this time, you would be able to dig your hole. Do you just take her body and lay it to rest? What do you do?
No, I would, I assume this would take me a few hours to do.
That wouldn't take you hours. The ground is wet and soft. You're a turtle with claws. It actually doesn't take you very long at all. Half hour and you've got...
Okay. I would, soaking wet, covered in mud and dirt. I would go back up and I would see if Brill and Vale were watching. And I would just kind of kneel down by Cole, and I would look up to them And you could see in my eyes, like, okay, do you want to do this?
I think at this point, Brilinya is like probably still kind of holding on to Cole. I don't know that she would have let her go yet. And she is just kind of just crying at her side.
If they allowed it, I would pick him up, or I would pick her up. Would Vale or Brill?
I'd probably go over and she was also my friend. I'll help you carry her.
And we would bring her over.
As you move her body to kind of take her from Brilinya, she shifts and her thunder cannon clatters from her grasp to the stones.
I think I'd notice it, but then keep walking. Get her over to the hole and probably jump in, honestly, with her and then place her in. I wouldn't drop her in. And then kind of hop out. And I would imagine the cloak still over her face. And I would kind of look at Vale and Brill and say, you two are better with words than I am. It would be right to say something for our friend.
I'll just look to Brilinya as I don't feel like I should be the first one to share words. Or nope.
She would just kind of look down and she would just kind of shake her head. She says, I was never told to say, I was never taught to say anything but the prayers I know from Ilmater. I've never had to do anything like this.
And I think realizing that everyone was really kind of, tight-lipped right now, Ubo would do his best. And he would fuck it up terribly. But he would kind of stand up tall and he would put his hands, on his belt in the rain, and he would say, well, we all know that Cole was a jackass. And he would kind of look at you guys nodding, but in the best way. She had a way that was very different than all of us. But when we needed her, she was there. She had a propensity to get us into trouble, but she also helped us get out of it. As much as we were at odds, I did consider her my friend. Just as I'm sure you all did too. And with that, somewhere along the way, I think I would have, no, I wouldn't. He would just keep looking around, like hoping that one of you would help say something. And if you didn't, he would probably just kind of fall to his knees at the end and just kind of hang his head and slowly, with my hands, kind of fill in the dirt if you guys didn't add anything.
I would go in and It's funny that many of us think that we're invincible. We have just a small taste of danger. Yeah. And we come out of it, and then we come out of another scrape and another one. And we think that nothing can touch us, not even the gods. I wish part of me, I wish there was something that I could do. I wish there was something that I could say to make it all better. We ended things poorly, I think, her and I. Was angry at her. She went headlong charging into something that she was really keen on. She does that, She did that. I don't know who this god is, Ubtao, that's kind of hitched his horse to me. But, and I don't know if this is part of the ceremony of Ubtao. I think Cole followed someone named Bashaba. Oh, that was just an ex that she was just really pissed off at. Don't know. But, and he kind of rifles in his pockets, pulls out a couple of gold. Maybe she might need these. Place them over her eyes so she'll have something to pay if she needs to pay for something. Maybe she might want to get some new tools or something. Oh, and I picked this up. I got her thunder cannon in my hand. She might need to defend herself from whatever's on the other side. So she should have this. Make sure it's safe with her. Sure it's loaded. It was always clean, so should work just fine. One thing I think we need to do, though, there's something we should ever forget. I don't think I will either. I'll never forget you, Cole. I don't even think you'd even let me. Probably come back and hunt me ours. I deserve it. I'm gonna miss you. And then I just kind of tear up a little bit and just kind of get to one knee and pass you the thunder cannon, pass you the 2 gold coins. Yeah.
There was...
You're muted, Drake.
Go ahead, bro.
I think Bro would just kind of be just sitting there or just standing there, just looking down, dried tears on her eyes. Just, there was just something about her. When I first met her, there was a connection we had. I thought it was loathing, hatred at first, but I don't know. And then after that storm, she said that she acted so differently, and I don't know why. And now I'll never know what maybe my family did to her, but she knew how to get people moving, motivated. Even if they went kicking and screaming the entire way. She was such a... She didn't like to reveal a lot about herself. but she took on all of our burdens and all our talking, but underneath all of that, she was just such a genuine person, and I think that is a lot to be said for that. And I can't believe it. I can't. And she would kind of almost get down kind of into the grave a little bit, just so that she can reach her hand down over Cole's head. And she would just place her palm just underneath the jacket. And she would just say, "Set aside the cup. Thirst will trouble you no more. Set aside your greed. Hunger only in your soul. Set aside desire. The body chains pure spirit. Rebuke avarice. No wealth adorns the faithful. Rebuke anger. Fury is foe to healing. Rebuke your fear. Death is the gate to her side. Shoulder your burden. We share even in the bitterest of pain. And we walk together." And she would just kind of stand and just get out of the grave area and just sit in silence.
And I think with that, I would, just take armfuls of dirt and just fill it in, getting out and making sure to, pat everything and make it look as nice as it can, and just kind of sit at the head, probably close to Brill and Vale. I wouldn't even kneel. I would just kind of sit Indian style, hanging my head. I'd kind of look up at everyone and now what?
I mean, we should gather up all of our things, gather up all the gold, gather up everything that had fallen out, find out what we can do, consolidate our belongings, and we need to press on. And I hate myself to have to be the one to say it, but we need to press on. And I know, as gutted and as pained as we are right now, just know that Marquise is already making 16 new characters.
If only you knew what I was looking into right now.
I had to. Light the mood.
Just getting too serious.
Yeah,
On the platform above you, you just hear Salida say, "I know it's perhaps just a small consolation, but if you would like to dine on the flesh of the creature that killed your friend, I have roasted the meat. I have also gathered all of her belongings that were spilled across the platform here, and they are drying."
Where's the jug?
Mike had it. Vale had it.
I mean, I guess I would know that. And I would say, Vale, this object is what she died for. What's inside? Open it.
What? All right.
Or give it to me and I'll do it. She died for this.
Yeah. Here. This doesn't seem like much of a prize right now. It seems hollow.
And Jake, yeah, good.
And Paulie made.
It looks like it's about a gallon-sized jug, It weighs about 12 pounds. And as mentioned before, it does have a cork stopper on the top, but it also has cork stoppers all over it in different colors. It looks like you'll have to spend some time with it to figure out exactly what it's going to do. And maybe opening it in the rain isn't the best.
Then seeing this, it's more that I just wanted to hold it. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer here. But as we rest and sleep and eat, Ubo would do his best to study it with just every crevice, every color, every trying to find something.
Well, you may find some consolation in it as throughout the course of, if you're eating, if you choose to eat or whatever, as you're messing with this thing, you find out that opening different corks produces different results. That one cork will produce a very small amount of acid. Another cork produces a very small amount of what appears to be some sort of poison. Ubo may or may not be pleased to see that uncorking one of it allows 4 gallons of beer to be poured from this jug. Another cork, honey. Weirdly, another cork allows a couple gallons of mayonnaise to be produced.
I think this is the first time a character has died in D&D history for an alchemy jug. The very
Probably.
first time someone has died for this. Never mind.
The jug also produces a small amount of oil, a couple gallons of vinegar, 8 gallons of fresh water, 12 gallons of salt water, or 1 gallon of wine.
And Jake, seeing this and learning all these things, and just kind of showing it off to Brill and to Vale, you would see this smile ear to ear on Ubo's face. And every time he pulled something out, he'd be thinking, Cole would have loved this.
Over the next hour or two, as Ubo starts to unravel the secrets, the fire, Salida keeps stoked. She keeps stepping outside to keep watch. And you all eventually succumb to your exhaustion, to the weariness of the day, the weariness of the tomb raid, the weariness of the battle, and the weariness of the funeral for Cole. You all eventually slip into sleep. Vale and Ubo, you sleep the dreamless, sound sleep of the exhausted. But Brilinya, you have a dream. What does she dream? Cole?
When you sleep that night, at first you see nothing but blackness. You think maybe in the back of your mind that maybe you'll see Cole as you sleep, right? Maybe you'll be able to talk to her spirits. That does not happen, and you do not see Cole in your dreams. Instead, what you see is a pair of brilliant white wings, and you see those wings connected to the back of a pale-skinned green giant, an angel, wrapped in the same vestments of your temple, tattooed from bald scalp to the bottom of his bare feet. There is a blazing sword behind him, floating in the void in the abyss, and he is sitting cross-legged before a board. Your eyes move across the board, and you see that is a dragon chessboard, that he's been playing a game. You can see that pieces that have been taken from him have been burnt by hellfire and are still burning, and the pieces that he has taken are glowing a radiant white, and they're surrounding the board in a circle. And your eyes continue to move, and you see a woman. And this woman's skin is a dark green as well, but she is no angel. You can tell this the moment you see her. For when you see a devil for the first time, there's an interesting effect that happens to a person. Your molars begin to shake. Your eyes begin to dilate and get wider and wider and wider. You smell brimstone. Your hair stands up, and there's a constant pain in the back of your head that does not go away, as if someone is stabbing you in the back of your skull. You see her wings, leathery, bat-like. You see her horns, and you see her face, beautiful but twisted and in a wholly impossible anger. She looks at you, and she pounds a fist on the board, and a shockwave of flame comes out. And then the next thing you know, Brill, is she is looming over you. And she bends over, and she grabs you by the face, and she says, "You were supposed to do better." And she throws you backwards. And what is Brill's reaction when this happens?
Brill's eyes would just widen at all of this. And in a slight tone of confusion, as she's kind of thrown to the ground, she looks up, both, just this immense fear, but also this frustration and confusion in her voice. Just, "I'm sorry."
She looks back to the angel who's sitting over the board, who's looking at the situation. When you see him, Brill, you feel as if you know this angel, as if you've always known this angel. And she looks to him and she says, "And you knew this was not supposed to happen." And the angel shakes his head and looks to you. And then she looks back to you, and she basically straddles you as you lay on the ground, Brill. And she puts her hand around your throat, and she shoves you back, and she leans forward till her nose touches yours, and she says, "Her soul is not mine. And if I kill you, your soul is not his or mine either. And that's because you haven't done what you or your friends or what Cole were supposed to do." And she takes another finger and she stabs you in the eye with it, Brill. And when she does, you see in the destruction of your eye and a swirl of blood and pain, the same thing that Vale saw earlier. That's his black hand reaching from the void in the Cole's chest and ripping her soul out, the light out, and taking it into the darkness. And she says, "The soulmonger has her. That's not the deal I have with your temple, with your angel, or with either of you twins. So go to the soulmonger and get me my payment back. Do you understand?"
So many thoughts are just swirling in Brill's head, and it's very, very obvious in her eyes, on her face, but she just manages to give a small nod. And immediately, I feel like in her mind's eye, she would see the leather book with the ribbon in it.
And the moment you consent, she rips the finger out of your eye, and I imagine you startle awake and you would see that book.
Yeah, she would just wake up. I don't know if she would have screamed, but she is just up and she is gasping for breath, but her eyes wander over to this book. And she would kind of scrabble over and open it, trying to bring it, if there's a fire, or bring it.
The fire's burning.
Okay, she would bring it over there then, and just so that she can see and read it in the light.
And what are the words that Brilinya reads in this entry of the journal?
When you open up the journal and you see that the piece has been bookmarked by your red ribbon, you read these words, stained by what seems to be either rain or teardrops. You're not quite sure. But though the ink runs, you can still read it pretty clearly. And it says, "She's my sister. My fucking sister. What? What? How? When? How? Why?" I held off on writing this until I talked to Sindra again. Withered as she is, she dots her I's and crosses her T's pretty damn thoroughly. So, the legends I discovered in Mulholland are true, too. The God Kings used to be wedded pairs of twins, one tiefling, one Azamar. Was that what we were meant to be? Is that why I was thrown away? I want answers, but gods, Timora, thank you. Bashaba, thank you. The both of you have led me here. I found a reason to live, a reason to try and do what I always said I would. Master will be happy. This is a missing link to his project, and what I need to finally move forward with my life. She's my sister. Somehow, I think I knew it too. Seeing her hurt, I felt the same pain, wept the same tears. I feared the same fears. The bonding between us is something I can almost see when we're together. Gods, she's my sister. My fucking sister. Brill, I'm afraid to tell you this now, because I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to go about this, but, and that's where the journal entry ends.
And as Brilinya is reading these words, the rain continues to pound the stone of the giant statue in which you take refuge. Brief flashes of lightning and rumbles of thunder make their way inside. Vale and Ubo do not stir in their sleep, and Brilinya, if she hears it, takes no notice, these words consuming her mind. And we pull back from the fire out into the rain. Lightning flashes illuminate the giant statue of the House of Man and Crocodile. And we pan upward across the glistening stone of the shattered foot and the cracked legs and up the torso of this statue. And we see the figure of Salida standing sentry. And in the flash of light from the lightning, we see a golden glint in her eyes. Her eyes, not the green flecked eyes that we've seen before, but golden slits. As she reaches into her pocket and she pulls out a smooth stone, she traces a hand across the surface of the stone, and an arcane sigil in brilliant green illuminates her face. Her face no longer has the rugged beauty of a Chultan woman, but has an almost reptilian appearance. As she holds the stone up to her face, and she says, not in the lilting accent you've grown accustomed to, but in a harsh, hissing whisper, "The 4 are now 3. The gunslinger is dead. This will make them stronger. We will need to be careful. Dendar, the night serpent, prevails." And as the arcane sigil fades and she slides the stone back into her pocket, in the next flash of lightning, we see Salida, the ruggedly beautiful Chultan guide, the lightning reflecting in her speckled green eyes. And that's where we're going to end. There was a few little happenings and revelations in tonight's session.
I'm just glad we
in
all made it through alive.
You ripped her in half.
Yeah. It wasn't Jake's idea to have her like ripped in half and turned like 2 different ways, but I was like, that'll be a cool detail. That'd be something that sticks
so
with
you
him.
guys planned that then?
No.
We planned for the eventuality.
Yeah.
Because
Jake, yeah.
I actually went back and listened to the end of the last session, and the last thing Marquis said when the dinosaur appeared was, Cole's got 2 hit points.
Yeah. So this whole time I was like, this is gonna be.
And
well, that's one dangerous time.
I knew of all of you, Cole was at the biggest risk of literally being dead because of the amount of damage this thing could put out.
Well, that's why I didn't understand Brill and Vale not healing him when we first started. Like, I mean, we knew he had 2 hit points, but that was too meta for me to say.
Right.
I thought you guys would remember.
I totally forgot.
I was suicidal, so I told Brill just to focus on killing a dog.
Yeah, I couldn't remember exactly. Like, I'm like, wait, did he have? I know he was down, or she's down really low, and then you're like, oh no, I'm just a little wobbly. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. Wait.
No,
Because you don't want to play an artificer anymore. That's why.
I gave Marquise a lot of leeway to, once, basically I said, I need to know, don't tell anybody else if you're down, but I need a way to know. And then he just kind of narrated it from there. And just everything in that whole last part, it was just so brilliant to sit back and have you guys. I've never played a game where a funeral has been role played before. So that was pretty epic. Points of inspiration all the way around for that. Everybody take a point of inspiration. Everybody will be level 5 in our next session.
Except Marquise.
Nah, I'll be level 5 with a new character, Drake.
We just got to figure out the logistics of that.
Yeah, just
You got to
make
be a
sure
bard.
Yeah.
I'm actually considering a College of Swords bard. That is
As you wake up and there's a 4th figure just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, good morning, everybody.
Hello, my friends. I found this gun just lying in the dirt.
No, and I know I don't need to say it, but obviously that was a third-person reveal of something fishy with Salida that none of your characters know anything about.
Cole was on the right track. She was slowly figuring out about Wanty, and then she died. Yikes.
And then Brilinya has a pretty big revelation that was pretty much spelled out in the journal. Marquise will need to get you guys a list of the inventory minus the Thunder Cannon and 6 of the 7 healing potions.
Dope.
Pass that on to everybody else so they know what all you have. Of course, the map will be just the same as it was, except it is now indelibly bloodstained with the blood of Cole.
Okay.
Not illegibly so,
As
but
character.
Jake, I'm not going to log out, but I'm going to go handle my kid. So,
all right. Well,
okay.
a huge thank you to these 4 amazing role players tonight. Drake as Ubo the Turtle Monk, Brilinya the Asimar Warlock, played by Megan, Mike the Piper playing Vale Istafall, the half-elven paladin of Ubtao, and Marquise playing the now deceased gunslinger Cole, the tiefling artificer. And we're going to have to figure out what the hell we're going to do about that opening and the character art and all that stuff. I need to put in a call to Locrius. No, we'll probably end up just leaving things the way they are, except for obviously the character name and all that information, which will be revealed possibly in next week's session. So yeah, I think this was a pretty epic session. Honestly, I think these guys were probably just expecting a encounter with a dinosaur, another deadly encounter, but it turned into something I think is a big testament to the role-playing chops of all of you, that Marquise was the only one that had a heads up just because he knew he was on the edge. And you guys all just had to react to what was happening, not really sure what was happening, experiencing it as it happened. So this is by far one of my favorite sessions. So again, thank you to everybody. Thanks to everybody who tuned in to the game live. Be sure, if you're watching live now, to tune into Mini Terrain Domain throughout the week here on Twitch. Tomorrow we have the first occurrence of a new game called, it's just a one-shot, but I'm running it a couple times, called Downtime at the Abbey. A bunch of adventurers, in between adventures, and Megan will be playing in that one. And then I got to check the schedule because I've got a lot of games coming up in April. I think this week is pretty quiet. When is our first game, Megan? Is it Thursday?
Yep, this Thursday.
It is this Thursday. Okay. That'll be on the Dice on Ice Dice on Ice YouTube channel. Playing the first of a Harbinger Adam Punk trilogy that Megan will be GMing. And yeah, lots of great stuff happening here on the channel. And be sure to check everybody else out on Twitter. Their Twitter handles are in the overlay. Again, thank you everybody for a fantastic session. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm Jake. This has been Mini Terrain Domains MTD&D. And as we always say to sign off, and